We've been taught to see the world as a map of countries, of nations. But what if the real borders aren't drawn with ink? What if the most important dividing line is one you can't even see? This is the new global class divide.
So let's just get this out of the way. Forget the old maps. Forget the rivalries of East versus West, of developed versus developing. A new division is taking shape, and it has absolutely nothing to do with geography.
The new dividing line is ownership. It's not about where you live, it's about what you control, what you have access to. That is the only thing that matters now.
Now, to really understand how massive this shift is, we have to rewind a bit. We've got to look at the old idea of class, the one forged in the heat and steel of the industrial age.
Back then, things were kind of simple. Class was mostly about your income. Your spot in the pecking order was decided by your paycheck and whether you worked with your hands or, told other people what to do with theirs.
Well, that model is completely obsolete. It's gone. Today, the real basis of power isn't just about money. It's about something way more fundamental. It's about access.
And this right here is the whole game. In our digital world, class is access. The actual metric for power has changed, and it happens so quietly most of us never even noticed. So what does this access really mean?
This new power is really built on three core pillars. First, you need access to capital. That's the money that builds and scales everything. Second, access to infrastructure. We're talking about the massive digital and physical networks that our entire world runs on. And last, and this is the big one, access to AI systems. These are the new engines of production, the new sources of intelligence.
Because of this shift, society is being split, cleaved in two. It's creating two totally distinct global groups on opposite sides of this access line. Let's call them the owners and the renters.
And the difference between them couldn't be more stark. On one side, you've got the system owners. They own the productive systems, so their wealth, their influence, it scales with technology. As tech gets more powerful, so do they. On the other side, you've got the system renters. They're forced to compete against that same technology, basically renting access to the very systems that might be making their own jobs irrelevant.
Now, this isn't some fixed divide. It's actually getting worse. The gap between these two groups is actively widening, and it's being driven by a process that is just getting faster and faster.
You probably don't see this on the news every night because it's not a single event. It's a process. It's a deep structural change, like an invisible architecture being built into the foundation of our entire global economy.
So how does this actually work? Well, it's a feedback loop. It starts when automation begins to replace human labor. That, in turn, means capital starts to concentrate in the hands of the people who own the machines. Then, those systems can scale globally without needing to hire tons of people. And what does that do? It concentrates wealth even more, which just fuels the next wave of automation. It's a cycle that just keeps feeding itself.
And all of this leads to a pretty crucial point. This new divide, it just doesn't fit into our old ways of thinking. It operates completely beyond the familiar battle lines of politics.
So you might be wondering, can we just map this onto our old political chart? Is this really just another version of left versus right?
No, those old labels are becoming totally irrelevant. The real conflict, the one that's going to define this era, is much simpler. It's owners versus non-owners. Period.
This isn't about politics. This is about structural power.
Black signal.